Hello, guys.
Hey, how you
Love
doing?
is enough. Welcome to the show.
We are live. Thank you so much for having us. It's great to be on the show.
You're
That's
very welcome.
amazing. So it's actually been a year since Alex interviewed you last on the podcast.
Is it
Cameron. Yeah.
a year
So
already?
it's a whole year. So I interviewed your lovely wife, Nicole, for the Primrose Marquise.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Alex interviewed you for Love Is Enough because we had our Valentine's
Oh,
thing.
Valentine's special. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here we are, 4 days away from Valentine's again. So winky dink, as Alex would say.
So tell us, like, what or who is Love Is Enough?
As a band, or who are we influenced by, or
That's it's
an open question.
Open to interpretation, I guess. But what is Love Is Enough? Because although you're a band, it's almost more than that, isn't it?
Yeah. I think for us, we thrive through our sound. Obviously, you play music, you thrive for your music, but we are so hard on ourselves to try and get that professional sound from our recordings and from our live show, and we are just kind of all about pushing that professionalism, and that sound, that full stadium pop rock sound, basically. And all about just the love we have for each other and the love we have for our music.
Yeah, I think it's more like our families, us. We've all been
on the same journey.
Yeah, and it's from those beginnings in COVID to the first rehearsals and writing bits together, all the way to first gigs and first releases with Burn, all the way through to now. We've kind of come together with births, happinesses, sadnesses, deaths, everything that comes with that as a family. We've kind of grown up the last few years together, and I think there's a realization or a realism of our age, where we are in life with families, also having fun doing this music. We know, as Cam was saying, we want to do our music ourselves, as we've always done, and to the highest degree that we can do it for ourselves. We like professional, slick sounding music. If you're good with things, you don't have to spend billions of pounds doing it. You just have to be clever and put the time. But you can be clever if you have time and go over things and stuff like that. And I think that's one side of our sound. Our families have been on that journey with us. I think that is Love Is Enough.
Yeah, sums us up quite well, I think.
Yeah, I think some of your songs are really emotional, and that translates on both of your recordings and in your stage shows. So for me, Love Is Enough is seeing the bond that you guys have on stage together when you're performing live, but also in the lyrics. When I listen to your songs, I get love, I get emotion. It's an interpretation, isn't it?
I definitely, and I, like you said with the lyric thing, that is when I write my lyrics, that is how I aim to write a song. I don't see a song and think this is the start to the finish, this is a storyline. I really want people to listen to the song and think, wow, that means something to me, not just, oh, I can see someone else's story. It's like, I feel this song, if you know what I mean. And I feel like I try and, not to create a whole storyline, but to try and make the person listening to it create their own storyline from it, and maybe something that they've been through in life. And that's kind of where my head's at with the lyrics.
I think that's the one thing that got me from Cam's lyrics right from the get-go was his lyrics take you somewhere, but they don't. Then when you listen to some songs by some bands, which some great bands and some great songs out there, the lyrics are very direct, and they, we can talk about some really sensitive subjects, but we there's subtleties in that, and there's certain songs that Cam's had that he's written that when he tells me what the song's really about, we're like, what were you really thinking? You know, what was the real inspiration? Like Stay, for instance, with your you should have made that phone call. It's like the interpretation of that, even though you tell me that and I fully understand that, to me, I'm like, that song means something totally different and resonates totally different. And that, you know, as much as Cam tells you, I'm like, great, that means it for you, and this song means this for me. And I love that everyone can have their own latch onto it, like you're saying, the emotions there, that we tried to convey that with the music as well. Have something that everyone can latch and grab hold of, and you know, in whether it be supporting what Cam's talking about with the emotion, trying to convey that with that. We tried to put hope. I think Cam's
definitely, I love a bit of hope.
You know, things might be some of our song subjects might be hard. Yeah. Some of them might be positive, but there's always a positive spin to that, and I love that as well. You know,
maybe it's just because I can't write good lyrics.
No, you can. We've tried to keep the music. I think we're keeping the music fresh as well. Like, you could have the same lyrics that Cam's written, for instance, and you could take the music somewhere else, and they would hit a different way, and it would mean something. Whereas we tried to keep that, like you said, that pop side to it, that happy, fun side to it. It kind of masks that, and there's sometimes it's not until you've read the lyrics several times of some of the songs, and any of the songs, like for instance 1 and 4, you then go and if you were not to have known the band and be listening to them, it wouldn't be until you really went and sort of checked out and read about the band that you were like, what, that song was about that? Wow, that's not what it means to me, but now I can relate and see that, but it still doesn't throw it in your face, and it's still, there's a positive feeling. It's like, this doesn't sound as, that's really hot, but the song's really positive and it feels, you know, as it needs to, I think.
Yeah. People in their own lives can fill in the blanks to a song.
Yeah.
You kind of, you set the scene, you set the page, you get the emotion, and then they fill the blanks in with their own story. Which is very clever. It's very well done.
Clever or easy?
No, clever.
Very clever, very clever. I've been a lot of bands, or read a lot of lyrics from people, and it's the one, as I said, it's from the get-go, it is something of Cam's that are absolutely in awe of. To be able to write like that and to have such an open meaning, but then when you can relate it to your own thing and someone else so tightly, that is very clever and a skill.
You've obviously Thor's not here tonight, but you've all come from very different musical backgrounds. You've all had touches in quite different areas. How do you feel you've changed from, say, 10, 12 years ago, kind of at the height of kind of like Bass Connections and stuff like that, through to now? And what have you taken from back then that you still kind of hold on to?
Yeah, great question.
That's a brilliant question.
I think, me personally, working on just like, I don't know, just from maybe growing up and being around music so much, you kind of, from a young age, you kind of, I don't know, it's really difficult to explain, but everything's a lot simpler. Nothing, you've got one guitar riff, you've got one bass riff, you've got a lead guitar riff, and you've got drums, and then you've got vocals. That's all I took from when I was younger. That's what we used to do. We used to just do the simple stuff. And now it's layers upon layers upon layers. The music world has sort of opened up my mind to, wow, I can actually put, I don't know, violins into something. I can make my own violin piece. I can, put a piano in. I can do this. I can do harmonies. And like, for me, harmonies have become a huge thing for me, which were never so much, I didn't really use them much when I was younger, but now it's like, that is what I love to do. And I love to create a song and build it instead of just keeping it really, really simple. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with a simple song, but that's, I think, from my progression is where I came to. And obviously with Thor, he was very from a heavy metal background, similar to Benji. And I think, I don't know if Thor's drumming style has changed I think he just hits as hard as he can.
He's still.
Yeah. I think he'll always be an amazing drummer, but I think he's followed that path of I'm going to hit these drums as hard as I can and play them really great.
I think he'll tell you that his technicality massively improved, and he's always my favourite drummer from knowing him from a youngster and growing up and having it. And again, I think in previous bands, and I've seen his drumming. His musicianship behind it. He's more than the drummer though in the band. Like what he brings in programming and all the production side.
That's what I mean. I think the production side is the thing that we have grown up with. Like not having it from a young age, and now we're all a bit older and we've kind of played a lot more music. That background stuff, which you don't really think about, like the production side, the recording side. We've all learned so much, and is like for us is a major player in that role. And you and your heavy metal and your guitar playing, I'm sure you've changed massively. Yeah. You've become a pop princess.
Yeah, we do come across some of your older stuff, particularly Ben, and we're a bit like, oh, okay, that's slightly different than what Love Is Enough's current vibe is. I'm not saying we don't like it. I do.
Oh yeah.
But this is a completely different.
I had to have an outlet, and
Yeah, it's a little bit more aggressive, whereas Love Is Enough is obviously it's love.
I settled down, had children, and mellowed out. Yeah, gone back to some of the stuff I was into first, playing guitar, I think. And
I think if you were to watch Junk DNA back in the day, you'd probably see less love signs from Benjamin.
Yeah. Using lots of fingers, but not those ones.
Not those ones.
Yeah, we've played some Junk DNA on the radio, and I actually would love to go and watch Junk DNA live, because I think that would be pretty spectacular. Not that I'm asking for a reunion, because I never want Love Is Enough to not be. But if you want to do like a one-off show, we'll get These Days back, and we'll get Junk DNA back, and maybe we could do a whole Winnie Gate night where you three just bring all your old bands.
DNA. I think This Illusion's easier than Junk DNA. Junk DNA, we did some reunion shows, and it was cool and it was awesome. But it's I think Ricky's over in America now, having the time of his life, and I think it's quite. We've got 2 songs actually that have been written and kind of bookend all of Junk DNA. It's quite nice, but they were recorded over a period of years just before Ricky moved to America. So there might be something of Junk DNA to release in the future, whether a live show, I don't know, that would be harder. But This Illusion,
just play it on Sounds of Salisbury. That'll be
exactly. Do you know what? Actually, listening to us, and I told the lads about it to tune in. I still get, it doesn't matter what band or anything, still get an absolute buzz of hearing it played on the radio. It's
awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Live.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
You mentioned about live shows, so I've written down here live shows versus recording. Obviously, you're very, very technical in the recording phase of the process, but your live shows, I always feel that everything is directed in a way that you're recording all of this music because you want it to be the most spectacular thing live. Tell me about that. Tell us about that process and what you go through to get to that point, because you've been doing it for a little while, then you went away and you made changes.
Always.
I remember you and I having a chat, Ben, after one of the segments in the Market Square, and picking up on just the little nuanced changes that you'd made just seemed to elevate everything. Are you guys always going to be doing that, or are you going to get to a point where you think, do you know what?
Now, I mean, like tonight before we that's what we've been doing. It never ends. It kind of after every gig we play, we think, or every rehearsal, we sit down, we listen, we go through each thing, what we go through the songs, but we also listen to how a person in the audience would listen to it, and we think, right, how can this improve? How can we make it better? And you know, you pick up, okay, do we want more backing vocals? Do we want more guitar? Do we want more bend? Do we want more me? Do we want more, you know, do we want more piano? Do we, you know, it's EQ. It's never ending.
EQ, volume against this.
And every time you play a gig, you then look at yourselves and then go, okay, well, it can be better, and we want it to be better for an audience purpose. I would love to be at one of our gigs and be like, wow, this sounds brilliant, but they could maybe improve this, they could maybe improve that, and then next time you come and watch us, we have improved that. You know, we have done that. We have made those changes. So I think every time we play, hopefully it gets better.
I think we use quite a lot of technology, but it's a lot of it, like I said, I touched on earlier on, a lot of what we use doesn't cost lots of money. I mean, we use Ableton, which is a cheap-ish program. It's not thousands and thousands of pounds. We run that live. We're running, we've spent time in the studio to get the tracks, stem tracks, and record them as they're released. And our aim as to, and in fact, if you isolate what we play against what our backings are, we've kind of, especially with the guitars, I've tried to find a little story to tell across lots of different parts, but even so, it is a concisive kind of piece. Same with the bass, same with everything locked into these backings. And I think
it will always change.
It'll always change. We're always listening, we're always learning, we're always listening to things. I'm always finessing, talking to things. There's a difference when you play music at a volume. There's a difference when you play it through a PA at volume, and certain things happen. For instance, you might have it dialed in for even loud at home, and it's completely different live, and you have to factor that in. I'm using Fractal stuff for my guitars, and they're always updating their stuff, and I'm always right at the front of the updates, even if it's every month, and it adds a lot. And I'm always listening to the guitars going back in, and that's never changed. I've been like that since I started. In fact, the backings now, I've just been going in, going, right, this has changed, I can now use this, I can hear clearly, that's got to change, and we've just rebounced all of our backings. It's trying to compromise as well. We're still looking ahead. We would love to have dual systems so we could have separate mixes ourselves. So we have to share mixes at the moment. So when we play live, we have to have a compromise of what are we going to focus on. If you were a singer, for instance, you would have loads more of vocals. And we do, to be honest, the way we are and the way we play, it's kind of one of those things that we lean towards giving the vocal, and we do. The vocals have to be the most important point, but still you need to hear the guitars. You push the guitars up slightly, but it's a bit of a compromise. We'd like to change.
I think the main thing is we want to be a stadium pop rock band with that sound. So like the main thing is a band, one of my favorite bands is Coldplay. When I went to go and see them, their sound was phenomenal. You could hear everything. It was just perfect. So it's like replicating that, but in smaller venues, and trying to where you've got a muddy room and stuff, and it's quite difficult, but we're getting there.
I tell you, it's been quite inspiring. For my job, I'm quite lucky to get to go behind the scenes of quite a lot of big bands. I've done it between Iron Maiden, Metallica, stuff like that. I took the guys last year to come down to Pendulum and seeing a band of that. Sorry, my wife has just come in and ruined this radio interview. That is brilliant.
That's all right. I've just shooed my son out from making his girlfriend a cup of tea.
So I took the guys to watch Pendulum. We went down for the day behind the scenes with them on the stage and listening, and I think it was quite an eye-opener for the guys to be like, hey, I was like, these guys are playing arenas and they're filling out and their sound is that, and look at what they're running. They're running the same programs as us. They're running exactly the same pedal as Cam you're using. So I'm like, and they sound like this. They've got nothing different to what we've got. It's just time and spending. So if you can then keep listening, going, right, what am I missing? What am I missing? What do I need to change? You go and play live, and we thrive on people saying, recording ourselves, but also people might come up to us and say, hey, it's quite good, but this is a bit muddy, or I found it this. And some of our mixes before that we had for live you could get ear fatigue, as I would call it, for listening, because it's quite mid-rangey. and that doesn't notice when you're at a low volume listening on headphones, like listening, but when it translates through a PA, it pushes more in those, or you could get the bass frequencies become a bit more boomy, and then you lose some of the top ends, you're losing some of the guitars, and people are like, oh, couldn't really pick out what you're doing on the guitars, and the vocals are kind of, and so it's that we're like, right, have a listen. So we've got to listen for that frequency and pick out that, and it's never ending. But when you start, to see the professionals, it's like we're using the same kind of stuff in the same program. So there's no special source, or they've not got something extra apart from playing in a massive venue. It's still translating. So it's a case of we can make our in-ears and our out front sound correlate and work with what we're doing. And it is time and geeking and redoing and constantly redoing.
Well, you're definitely showing off your geek there, Ben. I will say.
And we'll geek for hours, and I don't think your show is long enough for Benji.
Well, we will be putting a snippet out on the radio, but then this will be going out on our YouTube channel and stuff as well, so that people can fully geek out with you guys. I will say, whatever it is you're doing, as somebody in the audience that does absolutely adore coming to see you guys live, you're doing it right. Because every time I see you, I'm just that little bit more impressed than the last time that I saw you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The hard work pays off sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely.
Oh, upcoming events, I think, upcoming gigs. So
This
anyone
weekend,
listening?
Winchester Gate.
Following weekend, Exchange in Bristol.
Your main man Alex is playing as well.
I only realised tonight.
Oh, come on. Are you busy?
Yeah. So I'm running the acoustic stage. So I'm doing the sound for the acoustic stage. So you guys are very lucky that you're not on that stage. But yeah.
No, actually, that actually brings me to another point. Before we go on to gigs, just very quickly, last time I listened back to the interview last year that Cameron did with Alex, and apparently you were going to record 4 acoustic tracks with Dan from Signature Vision.
Yeah.
Are those going to be released? Are they done?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, if you want to know our little plan, so we've got 3 songs that make up the initial 12 that we recorded in our first sessions, which to us it's an album, but to the rest of the world it's just song after song, because that's how the world works now, and no one really cares. If you want to, and they're all out, you can listen to it, and you can even listen to it in the order that we like, but that's really irrelevant to everyone. We've got 3 of that cycle left, and then we'll work on what we will call our second album, which is we're kind of we have written a lot of at the moment. We're trying to hone it down into the right songs that we will properly record. In between that time, you're going to have 1 cover and these 4 songs. So really, you've got 3 more singles coming out, starting with To You. Then you got these 4 acoustic songs. We're taking them a bit further. We've taken what we did at the studio and we've been adding to. So they won't be quite acoustic songs. They'll kind of like alternative songs. So we've put electrics back in there and programming and stuff. And
that's all you're getting. It's a secret.
And there's 1 cover as well that you'll get as well.
It's not a secret.
So
we're just going to release them soon.
No, they won't be coming. They won't be
soonish.
They won't be coming out soon. They won't be coming out that soon. Soon in our language is maybe a year's time. You'll probably have to wait, I should imagine. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, so the new single. You broached on that. That is out Friday, the 14th of Feb.
It is Valentine's Day.
Friday, yeah.
The day of love.
Yeah,
Seems
day of love.
Song about love.
Is it about love?
Kind of.
It's not really about
all
love.
our songs are about love. If you look hard enough.
Well, it's just about love because of our band name, really. But yeah, it's kind of about
it's a letter to yourself. It is.
It's a letter to So basically,
it is a love letter to yourself.
I sort of wrote a song ages ago, but it was kind of when we first started as a band, and I felt like we had something really good here. But going from being in many bands throughout my life, you go from, in my area, you go from one dream to another dream to another dream. you know, I've always wanted to be a musician. I always wanted to be in a big rock band or a big successful band. And it's that hope really of, okay, that if one dream fails, you move on to the next one. It just was that idea that this felt bigger, that what we were doing felt bigger, and there was some hope there, and there was some, you know, that we were going to do something special with this. And it's that kind of never give up on your dreams, basically. Always keep pushing and always keep going for that goal. That's it, really.
It's got some funky piano on this one as well. We got, I have to say a shout out to Rob Blundy, who I know from many years ago at Percy Priors. He went up to London and has appeared on lots of different things. When we were first writing this, we have no one else collaborating on any of our music at all. When we first did that, we had the rough little piano, plinky plonky, and we were like, we can do something cool with this. And I said, I know someone who would come on and do this and just give the piano to this a little bit of a...
He made my piano playing
Elton John-esque, didn't he? He
looked good.
So,
no.
And your piano playing is good. And then you'll hear piano all over our recordings. A lot of it we did in here, and it's Cam did it. This one, we just wanted a bit of West End London style to it, and it sits in the mix. But the second half of the song, the piano in there is just fantastic. So big shout to Rob Dundee, who did the piano for that for us on this one.
Love it. Anything else?
I was going to say, do you want to do like a little snippet now where you introduce your song? So for Wednesday's show, one of you will introduce the fact that we're about to play the song that you're releasing on Friday.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to do it? I'll do it. We are Love Is Enough, and this is to you. Thank you so much to everyone for listening.
Woohoo! I'm going to cut the woohoo back out because that's...
Yeah,
I'll do it after.
When we got Corellian to do that, they were like, well, they did exactly what you did. Do you want to do it? No, I don't want to do it. You do it. And then Jack did it, bless him. And then as soon as he'd finished it, because he felt so awkward, Scott just laughed. So we were like, we're definitely keeping that in.
Yeah, I think doing anything like this is always very difficult and awkward. I think talking about your own music is always difficult, but let's talk about you guys. I just want to say thank you so much to you guys for everything you do. You are special people, and what you're doing for not just the local scene, but for the music scene in general is like, I take my hat off to you. You've put so much time into it. It is tiring and it's so much effort, and you guys are smashing it. So thank you so much from everybody that plays music.
Yeah, I agree with this. There's very few and far between in the country of people, and if it wasn't for the opportunities for musicians to be heard and talked about, not just heard and played, it's the discussion, the talk, and the heartbeat of the community. It is unique.
It's also the practice for when you get interviewed by Sarah Cox.
Yeah, and I'll still be just as awkward. And Ben will still talk for too long.
Is there a thing there, or was that just the first person you thought of?
That's the first person.
I just thought there was something. It was a very specific person, not just like more famous than us. It was like Sarah Cox. It's like, okay,
she's a ledge.
Do I know? Is there something I'm missing?
No, I wish one day. Thanks for the press.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your time, guys. I know it's late on a Monday night. What a long, I'm going to say week. Feels like it already.
It feels like
Monday.
Yeah.
We will see you on Saturday.
Yes.
Can't wait.
Love you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah,